Hello, LinkedIn, live streaming,
All
latest
right.
breaking news.
I know we always have breaking news here on What's the Buzz, which is my monthly chat series that I host here in Zoom and LinkedIn Live. So whether you're joining here in Zoom or LinkedIn Live, welcome to What's the Buzz, where we bring you industry insights, tips, and tricks. What's the buzz in the ecosystem and keeping you up to date on all those things. Of course, AI is always a buzz, and I don't think it's ever going to go away. I think it's just going to be the buzz forever. So, so that's why we're going to talk about AI. Well, I'm not going to talk about AI. Kate's going to talk about AI today because who uses like all the tools? I know I use Copilot, I use ChatGPT, I use Claude, I use all the tools. So AI in practice, but choosing the right tool for the job is how the heck do you know which ones you should be using for what? That is what we're going to answer, or that is what Kate is going to share today. So welcome, Kate, to What's the Buzz?
Thank you. Wow, I'm really excited to be having this chat. Favorite things to talk about. And I made a little slide deck because that's just the kind of person that I am. If you are able
Need to
to,
explain this. You said
hi,
you don't have to
Steve.
read
Hi,
them.
Arlene.
You want to read.
If you are able to use the chat, maybe. Amy, are they able to use chat? Yeah.
Let me look. Let me
If
look.
you can use if you're able to
Yes, they
use chat,
are.
okay. If you have any questions or anything, you can certainly drop them in there. AI is everywhere. I mean, we know it. We can't attend a meeting. We can't do anything without AI being a topic of discussion. And so I think for me, this AI discovery was the challenge for me was learning what to use when and where. So what I want to do today is take a really practical look at four of the most popular AI platforms, and that is GPT, Claude, Gemini, and Microsoft Copilot. My goal with this presentation is not to convince you that one is better than the other. I don't believe that one is better than the other. My goal is to help you to understand where one outshines the other so that you can make better decision about which one to open when. All four of these are open in a browser for me every single day. So by the end of our time here together, you'll have a framework that you can use for evaluating the tools based on the task that you're doing, the data that you're using, and what you're trying to create or your desired outcome. So let's get going. I really love this picture. ChatGPT made this for me. Before we compare tools, let's just kind of give a common foundation here. All four of the platforms I'm talking about today rely on an LLM. At a very, very high level, an LLM predicts the word that is most likely to come next based on patterns. It's learned from massive amounts of information. And I really love this picture because it gives a really accurate description of what an LLM is, where you should be using what data, what's safe to use in your public AI, and where you should be using enterprise AI to protect that data. We'll talk a little bit more about that. Important thing to remember is that as much as we love our AI, as much as it seems like it's our very best friend in the whole world, it's not thinking, it's predicting. It doesn't necessarily know what's true. It doesn't, the opposite is true. It doesn't know what's false. So it generates responses based on a probability. So, okay, good. I'm loving comments coming in. I love comments. Okay. So also have this picture, which I think is hilarious. It shows a big bad LLM with probably bad information that's been put in it that is now belongs to everyone because bad information was put into LLM. So I was going through this similar presentation a couple months ago, and I was showing my husband these pictures because we both are very avid AI users, and we were just cracking up over these. So One more thing I kind of just want to level set. AI is not one category. There are three major types of AI that most organizations are using, they're encountering. Predictive is the first. That's going to forecast an outcome. So you think about demand planning for us in what I do in my 9 to 5, cash flow forecasting. And think about suggestive. So think about the next best action in your CRM. If you're using it, AI in your CRM, it'll give a next best action. Replies in email. If you are an iPhone user, years and years ago, we had suggestive text, or that was years and years ago that technology popped up, and I'm still using that one today. And then generative AI, and that creates content. It's probably one of the most popular forms of AI. So that's emails, our presentations, images. My LLM images came from generative AI. So that's just, today we're going to look mostly at, or completely at, generative AI. One of the biggest questions I get asked about AI, I mean, weekly, I get asked this: is my data safe? And my answer always goes back to, well, what are you doing with it? Where are you using it for your AI? If you're using a public AI platform, be careful about putting in confidential information for your customers, specifically financial information, any of your contracts, anything that is proprietary intellectual property. Be careful. Those things all deserve super duper extra caution. Enterprise AI solutions are different. At my company, we use enterprise solutions in our AI. So that means it operates within an enterprise environment. So it's protected. It's using inherent security controls, permissions. Public AI is considered, that is not enterprise. That is open. That is that open LLM in that last picture. Maria just asked that question. So if you feed it in, it can come back down. That's kind of the way I see it. Important takeaway for you is that not all AI environments are created equal. Understanding the boundary is just as important as understanding the tool. So ask some questions. The question might not be, is my data safe? The question might be, where is my data going and who controls it? So that is always my follow-up question. Well, customer information, specifically customer financials, should never, ever, ever go into public AI, ever. That should go into your enterprise AI because it is protected. Okay, so that's just a little bit of level setting before I jump into my 4 favorite platforms. And this is high level. I encourage you to prompt all 4 of these with the same prompt. Come up with a prompt that you may traditionally use GPT for, and put it into each and just see this in action. So GPT, let's start with this one. This is ideation. Very, very flexible. It's often, I think it's the strongest brainstorming partner. It's where I go to throw my ideas down and to start the process of brainstorming. My final product is never, ever, ever going to come out of GPT. My final product is never going to come out of AI. My final product is going to come out from me, from my brain. This is my partner. My AI is my partner, but I do have some really great tools to help me along the way. So GPT does great with ideation, with content creation. There is a whole lot, you'll hear the term AI slop. That's going around a lot right now. A lot of a lot of AI generated content is starting to look the same. So I always encourage, before we get way too deep into this, I always encourage you to trust yourself. You have gotten to this place in your career because of your ability to critically think. So put yourself in your experience set in any of the output that comes from your AI results. Let's look at Claude. If I had to pick a favorite child, it would probably be Claude. But again, I use all four of these. Claude is, I call it my refinement tool. It's a little more structured. Claude is, I call it the executive output. It's what may get printed and put into a glossy for that one pager or however, whatever output you're looking for. It's really strong with summarizing information and creating polished written communication. Side note, here's a really fun tip that I picked up on maybe about a year and a half ago. I do a lot of podcasting. I do a lot of presentations. I do a lot of writing. Anytime I present anywhere, whether at an industry conference, I have a podcast now myself. I put my transcripts. I record all of my presentations and I put a transcript in my AI. So it has learned the way that I specifically string words together. So a lot of times the output sounds more Kate, I say that with like air quotes, than it did maybe 3 years ago. So this is an ongoing training. That's a fun little tip and trick I like to pass on. Gemini. Is anybody using Gemini for deep research? My goodness, Gemini is incredible for deep research. Identifying themes. Let's see, what did I have on here? Producing concise summaries. Years ago, I worked for a marketing agency and I would have to write go-to-market strategies I had 35 clients. And I had to write go-to-market strategies, and that would take me 2 weeks, sometimes more. I can produce a go-to-market strategy using Gemini in about a day and a half now. So it's really, really powerful at researching and coming alongside me in the things I'm trying to learn about. So Gemini shines in research. And then, of course, Copilot. Copilot is different because it's designed to work inside the Microsoft ecosystem. A lot of people are saying, I'm reading, Tom said, I only use Copilot when referencing client data. It's not connected to the web. Okay, great. So Copilot is really great at coming alongside users and helping you work with the tools you're already using, whether that be in Word, Excel, Outlook, increasingly in Dynamics. So this is the simplest way to think about it in my quick 20 minutes of 4 platforms stacked up side by side. GPT is great for ideation. Claude is fantastic for that refinement. Gemini for that deep research, and Copilot for execution. So could they all perform the same task? Probably. Would they all approach it the same way? Absolutely not. And that's the point. The goal here is to identify which one of these 4 you need for the specific task you have ahead of you. So I actually created 4 scenarios. I'm going to pick, Amiee, pick 1 through 4.
3.
3. Let's look at 3. I have 4 different scenarios, but we'll just do one of them. Okay, let me find it. That's not it. Okay, scenario 3. Your organization wants to research AI trends and identify recurring themes across multiple resources. Ask. Which would you choose? You can use chat.
I'm assuming it'll be Gemini.
Gemini. Yep. Gemini is right. Ding, ding. Amiee, you win a soda. Next time I see you, I'll bring you a soda. I'll bring you a coffee talk cup. You already have one. Why would the answer be Gemini? Strong research orientation. So really good, again, at identifying patterns. Research and creativity are not the same thing. And Gemini tends to excel when gathering information and connecting the dots between it. So this is why understanding intent matters. So I think, if we were going to build a framework, I think this is in my closing. If we're going to build a framework, I would say, what do you want your final output to be? What are you needing here? And then decide which one of these 4 tools, which is amazing that we have 4 tools that have, they have a strength. So identifying which one to use. I typically, in my own workflows, I will start with GPT. I typically jump to Gemini, and then I usually end with Claude. And then sometimes, guys, I'm going to be really honest and very transparent with you. I use a printer, an old-fashioned printer, and I will print it out and I will sit with my pen and make the changes and codify it. So that is my process when I am working on strategy, when I'm working on anything I'm needing to write. I do a lot of writing in my job. Okay, so I have a couple of questions for you in creating this framework. Questions to ask yourself. First, what's the task? So start with the work, not the technology. So what are you trying to do? Again, brainstorming. Are you researching? Are you doing a summarization? What is it that you're trying to do? Workflow execution. I love this little slogan. I picked this up from someone else, and I think it applies so well to this. A hammer isn't the best tool because it's a hammer. It's the best tool when you're driving a nail. So learning which tool you need to use when. What data is involved? Not all data needs the same level of protection. When you're talking about, those that high risk data, that proprietary information, that is when you need to really be careful and protect your data. So is this public information? Is it internal documents, customer data, financial data, intellectual property, all of those, what kind of data are you using and when? Another question, where does the work happen? I think this is where a lot of organizations miss the mark. Sometimes the best AI isn't always the smartest one. And what I mean by that is the one that lives where the work is already happening. So that would be in Word, Excel, Teams. A lot of you are seeing that with your Copilot use. If you're already working inside of Microsoft 365 all day, the value of your AI tool that's already embedded into the workflow outweighs the feature of using another tool somewhere else. This is a natural reinforcement of Copilot. 2 more questions. What risk is acceptable? Not every task has the same consequence. We see this as marketers. Typo in a social media post is just kind of annoying, but a mistake in a financial report can be very, very expensive. So different consequences for different tasks. So are you doing low risk brainstorming, high risk customer facing deliverables, executive reporting? Those are just some examples of the risk there. And last question, and I'm wrapping up, Amiee, before you kick me out. Who will rely on the output? So this might be one of the most overlooked questions of all. It depends on what your role is, who is needing the content that you're creating. Is it just me? Is this a collaborative project with my team? Is it my customers? Is it the board? Like who is consuming or who is relying on the result that's coming out of your AI. The audience is going to determine the level of rigor and the level of security that's required. A rough draft, for example, if I'm going just me, like a rough draft might be completely acceptable just for me and my personal task, my personal workflow, my personal productivity. Board presentation is going to be a very, very different standard. So as I'm wrapping, I'll leave you with this thought. The best AI tool isn't the one necessarily with the most capabilities. It's the one that best aligns with the task, with the data, with the workflow, the risk, and the audience. So that is, again, 4 platforms where I see them shining. Please be careful with your data. Please understand whether you can use public AI or whether you need to opt for that enterprise and keep that data safe. Here is, let's connect with me. I am Kate Coffey-Bacon. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. You can follow my my podcast, Coffee Talk. We have real conversations with real people. Amiee has been a guest on my podcast before. And very soon, coming soon, is shebuildswit.com, which is a resource for what some of the women are doing in our community and what they're building and how they're shining. Amiee, thank you for inviting me to come. This was so much fun. I love talking about AI. So fun. And where to use what.
Well, thank you very much. And please make sure you follow Kate. And yes, go listen to the Coffee Talk podcast. It's really some great stories out there. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us this month for the What's the Buzz monthly chat. It's always the second Tuesday of every month at 4 p.m. Eastern for 20 minutes here on Zoom and LinkedIn Live. So stay tuned for the next one. And thank you so much, Kate, for joining me this month. I truly do appreciate it.
Yeah, sure. So much fun.
Yeah. Have a great day, everyone.
Bye, guys.